Hello, and welcome to day one of World Cup Daily, the show where I am Adrian, will update you on all the cool stats, important events, or funny moments from the previous day of action and set you up for today's matches. If daily World Cup content and discussion interests you, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I upload. Oh, and join in the conversation in the comment section. Also, last thing, we will be doing a watch along today for the Portugal versus Spain match, so if you're bored at home and want somebody to watch with, then be sure to tune into our watch along and join me and a bunch of other subscribers and get in on the banter and live analysis. There's a bit of that as well. And maybe see me cry on camera. Okay, so let's get to it, and in today's video, I'm going to go pretty deep into the Russia versus Saudi Arabia match, given that it was the only match of the day. When there's multiple matches, I'll just go over the main events and throw in interesting stats or anything else worthy of a mention. But for today, since there was just the one match, we'll go a little bit deeper. We'll dive deeper into it. Okay, so Saudi Arabia started out pretty well attacking-wise, but were extremely bad defensively, with Russia looking like they could cut them open with every single attack following the initial 10 minutes. And after just 12 minutes, Yuri Gazinski scored the first goal of this tournament, and that happened to be his first international goal and the first shot on target of the entire tournament. Unfortunately for the defender that was marking him as he was backtracking, he accidentally tripped himself up. Or maybe you don't think... Alan Zagoev went out with a hamstring injury, and Denis Cheryshev was brought on, and he doubled the Russian lead in the 43rd minute with his first international goal, and what a goal it was, scooping the ball over the outstretched defender and finishing coolly. But if you thought that was cool, just wait. That was a beautiful counter-attacking play by Russia, who in fact looked good on the counter every time, partially due to the Saudis' poor defending. Cheryshev really impressed me when he was brought on, pretty rapid and skilled on the ball. Some of that could be due to his upbringing in Spain. Yes, he was born in Russia, but grew up in Spain given his father's playing career there. And by the way, that's not to say that Russians who grew up in Russia aren't skilled, but Cheryshev's playing style is pretty different from his Russian teammates, having gone through the Real Madrid youth setup. By the way, Cheryshev was the first Russian player that plays abroad to have scored for Russia in the World Cup since 2002, when Valery Karpin scored against Tunisia. Also, Golovin really impressed me for Russia, and everyone else apparently, and if he continues with these good performances during this tournament, then I'm sure those rumors of him making a move from CSKA to either United or Arsenal or anyone else in the world will only grow. He became the first Russian to provide 2 assists in a World Cup match since 1986. Fedor Smolov had a frustrating match as he's largely seen as the best striking option that Russia's got. And I think that still remains true, despite his replacement Artem Dzyuba scoring with his second touch of the match just 89 seconds after getting onto the pitch. Dzyuba is huge, 6'5", 195-ish pounds of pure graft. Very clean header from him as he became the second substitute to score in this match. And it only got better for Russia and Cheryshev from there, as the Villarreal winger latched on to the touchdown from Dzyuba and hit an absolute screamer with the outside of his boot. So a brace for one substitute and a goal and an assist for another. And if you thought Mr. Golovin was done there, no. He wasn't finished with Saudi Arabia, and wasn't finished with furthering the hype surrounding his name, as he had a perfect curling free kick in at the death to make it 5-0. A goal and 2 assists for Golovin. So, Russia get off to a pretty good start with a 5-0 win, as they have already beaten their goals record from the last 2 tournaments, where in 2002 they scored 4, and in 2014 they only scored 2. Now, I know that Saudi Arabia are bad, but Russia weren't as bad as people thought they would be. Perhaps they have problems defensively and they weren't tested very much, but they have some great options going forward in Smolov, Dzyuba, Cheryshev, and Golovin. And hey, people in my preview told me that I was crazy for choosing Russia to get out of the group, but it's looking quite possible now, to be honest. Egypt lacks quality in a lot of positions besides Salah, so they could well get a result against them. And speaking of Egypt, today in the early match, at least for me, is Uruguay versus Egypt. Right off the bat, I fully expect Uruguay to win this one, as they had a pretty strong qualification campaign where they finished in second to Brazil, ahead of the likes of Argentina and Colombia. Luis Suarez is coming into this one in pretty decent form after a slow start to the season, but he still managed to score 31 goals across all competitions. Next to him will be Edinson Cavani, who has scored 30 plus goals in 3 of his last 4 seasons, and Uruguay boasts a pretty strong side defensively as well. And thankfully for Egypt, as things stand right now, Mo Salah will feature in the match. Will he start? That's not for certain. But Hector Cooper said Salah is almost 100% likely to face Uruguay. And I mean, thank goodness for them, as Salah basically is their attack, having scored 5 of their 8 goals in qualifying. They lack some quality in other places on the pitch, so it could be a rough start to the tournament for them. But hey, here's hoping for a good match. And so that will wrap up the first round of matches from Group A, and so begins the tight battle that will be Group B. First up, Morocco versus Iran, 2 teams that went through their respective qualifying campaigns without losing a single match. Morocco did one better by not conceding a single goal. Iran, they didn't do too bad either defensively, conceding only 2 goals from 10 matches. However, Iran did struggle a bit in scoring goals, as they only scored 10 from the 10 matches, with 3 0-0 draws in there as well. I'm actually really curious as to how they will match up against Morocco, who will have some good options going forward in Belhanda, Hakim Ziyech, etc. And they are coached by Hervé Renard, a proven manager in African football. Iran's coach isn't a slouch either though, and Carlos Queiroz, as this is his 3rd World Cup, 2nd with Iran, with the other time being with Portugal. And the other match, which is without a doubt not just the first marquee group stage match, but maybe one of the biggest marquee matchups in this World Cup, Portugal versus Spain. Now, as far as Portugal goes, I think some people are sleeping on them a bit and counting them out. Their young attack of Gonçalo Guedes, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, and the senior in Cristiano Ronaldo will be an absolute headache for the teams in the group stage. The question mark is, of course, the aging back line, but more just the aging center back positions. Pepe can still perform, José Font has looked decent in pre-tournament friendlies, and Bruno Alves wasn't tested too often against Algeria. Not an ideal situation, of course, but given Portugal's quality in the midfield and in the attack, that could be enough to compensate for their older center backs. Or maybe all that experience will help them in a big tournament like this. We'll have to see. Now, Spain, let's focus on the events involving Lopetegui, who was earlier this week confirmed as the next Real Madrid manager. The following day, he was sacked by the Spanish FA president, Luis Rubiales, and I'm totally on the fence with this one. On the one hand, I look back at Euro 2008 when Scolari was leaving for Chelsea following the tournament, or Euro 2016 when Conte was also leaving for Chelsea following the tournament. And I think there's a huge difference from those cases to this one. Given that Lopetegui is going to manage Real Madrid, and the Spanish has a lot of Madrid and Barcelona players, suspicions of favoritism in his team selections would be rife if he was to stick around. So for that reason, I sort of understand their decision. But then there's that glaring fact that you've sacked your coach 2 days before the World Cup, and all of the disruptions that it will cause. It was probably a good choice in going with Hierro as far as someone that will get the respect of the players instantly in the dressing room, but he's pretty green as far as coaches go, with an assistant job at Real and a bit of a failure at Real Oviedo. But perhaps the players will rally together following all of this, and said players are pretty damn good across all of their positions, so they could be fine. And don't forget to tune in for the watch along later today to watch with me. Hopefully things will go well for Portugal so the stream doesn't turn out like this. But if you can't make it, then I will see you guys for tomorrow's World Cup Daily. I'm Adrian from Rabona TV, and thanks for watching. Peace.